Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Yoga Pilates Fusion. So we're going to start lying down. You can lie down so that your back is just resting on the floor and focus on allowing the breath to sort of open or expand the muscles of the chest, and that's a great way to start, especially if you don't have yoga props at your house. If you happen to have a couple of yoga blocks, or you could use pillows, throw pillows similarly. They're not quite as firm, but they'll work nicely. You can put one yoga block down and this will go just, like your shoulder blades will rest on it a little bit lower than the shoulder blade at the bottom tip of the block. And then the other block under your head. And this creates a little bit of an expansion as the body kind of lays over top of the blocks. It opens up some of the muscles that live around this area that are part of our secondary breathing muscles. So the chest muscles, a little bit of the muscles that live around the neck and connect down to the sternum and to the collarbone. And then it also gives you a chance to really kind of expand the ribs as you breathe against whatever surface it is that you've reclined onto, whether that's the floor itself or whether it's a block. And so whether you're doing yoga or you're doing Pilates, what part of the practice of either of those two disciplines, and they're quite different in many ways, but the thing they share in common is this notion of staying present and focused. So we spend this couple of moments at the beginning letting ourselves kind of drop some of the threads of thought that we've been weaving around in our mind about imagined futures or things that we're still chewing on from the past. Instead, get really curious and present with what's happening right now. And so that things we have at our disposal quite readily is the state of our body. And we can notice that, and notice if there's like a little tighter shoulder on one side than the other, for example, and maybe take some steps to gently lengthen that out. And then we've also got the breath. And so we can concentrate on deep, smooth, rhythmic breath. We're going to stay here for about another minute. Just breathing and releasing into the shape. So I'm going to take 2 more breath yogis. Now, with your exhale, you can take your feet to the ground, or you can otherwise change the legs. If you have the legs in an unusual position, like a butterfly or something, you can bring the knees together. And then if you have anything under you, you're going to take those things out from under you. And then if you've been on your back without anything, then you're just here, right? So you got your feet resting on the floor and your upper back resting on the floor. And then if you took the blocks out, or blanket or pillows or whatever you had, just notice where that landed you. Do you feel a difference in your upper back, around the shoulders, and the chest? And I'm doing these little windshield wipers with the legs. And we're just noticing, just checking in with the state of my sacrum and how my hip joints are feeling, because we're going to do a little twist here. And if I know my low back is a little tender today, I might bring a pillow or a blanket with me so that I can add a little structure, a little support. So we're going to take the legs over to one side. And if you can stack your legs, that's great. If you want to wrap the top leg around the bottom leg, that will also work. You can take a block and put that in between the two knees, or you can put one under the bottom of the stack. And that's usually my preference. And then I let the leg drop over, so there's a little kind of hybrid there. Now, make sure your upper back is as close to level on the floor as possible, and you're going to extend out through the arm that's going the opposite direction of your legs. So if your legs are going to the right, you're going to extend your left arm, and vice versa. And so allowing the chest muscle to release and stretch as you kind of let yourself hang out in this twist. And again, we're just paying attention to some of these muscles at the beginning of our practice that allow us to breathe even when we're doing things that require that we constrict the abdominal muscles to help stabilize the body. Most of the work we do in Pilates is using the abdominal muscles to either stabilize or in some cases move the body. And so because the abdominal muscles are it's necessary for the diaphragm to move we need the abdominal muscles can't be contracted and the diaphragm extend all the way down at the same time. So if our secondary breathing muscles that are going to help us breathe are tight, then that's not going to be very useful, and it's going to be harder to keep a rhythmic breath. So here we are. So we're going to take one more breath with this kind of extension out through the chest muscles here on the side, and you might feel this on your hip as well. That's great. Bonus points. So we're going to bring this leg back to the center with the exhale, bring the other leg back, and then pause for a moment and give that arm a little release. And then we're going to take a moment and do the same thing going on the other side. So just checking in and giving your spine a chance to release that shape and a little fluid to move in where it belongs. And then we're going to take the legs the other way. Now, don't be surprised if one side's tighter than the other and you need a prop on one side that you didn't have on the other side. Quite often we'll find that we are rather asymmetrical. Okay, so now I've got my legs resting more or less comfortably. I've got a stretch going on here in this chest muscle. I can turn my head that way or the other way or leave it in the middle. And just kind of experimenting with the right position for the arms so that I'm feeling that release through the muscles there in my chest. Now, it's possible that these muscles are not tight for you and you don't really feel anything, and that's amazing. So carry on. Just keep on breathing. We'll do 2 more breaths like that. And then we're going to bring that top knee back and release that arm. All right, so now we're going to do a similar movement with the body, but we're going to do it as an opportunity to warm up the core. So we're going to float the legs up, and the knees hang out about over the pelvis or over the navel, right? So not all the way into the chest, but a little bit lower. Now, if your low back feels like it arches too far off the floor, by all means, bring the knees in a little bit more. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is hold stable by drawing the abdominal muscles in a bit around the sides so that we're creating a little bit of a corset of support. And then the knees are going to come over to the side. Now, I'm limited on the area that I have in my room here, so I am not going to extend one or both of my legs. Instead, I'm going to curl my knees up into my armpit or towards my armpit, and then I'm going to come back to the middle with the knees balanced over that area right above the pelvis or the belly button, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you've got more room at your house and you can extend one or both of your legs when you get to this edge, go for it. So we're taking the legs over to one side, either curling or straightening, coming back across the middle there, and then curling them in. And so hugging in through the sides of the waist to create that little bit of structure, and then asking the obliques, of course, to also help us with this movement. So just getting a little warm up in the core here. Now, if you're like me, this movement for some reason makes you travel down your mat. So it's possible that I'm going to go off frame in a moment. But in the meantime, we're going to do 2 more sets of this. Oh. Oh. So drawing in through the sides of the waist. So the back has some support. We got 1 more to go. Okay, so when you get back to the center, you're going to grab hold of your right leg, and you're going to extend your left leg all the way out. And I'm going to back myself back up my mat, because hopefully I'll stay inside your frame. Okay, so I'm holding onto my right leg. Now, if you can't hold the right leg snug, you can hold on with your you can hold on to the clothes. You can just balance the leg up. It'll be fine. If you can't hold it, just don't worry about it. You can hold it with one hand if that's helpful. And then we're going to spin the foot in circles, so that we get the ankle joint moving a bit. Go the other direction after a bit with the circles. And then you're going to point and flex. Oh. Okay, now hugging that leg in nice and snug for a moment. Press your heel up and see if you can extend the leg all the way straight. The answer might be no. Bend the knee, hug it in, flex the foot, extend the heel, see if you can get that leg all the way straight. Ooh, hello, hamstrings. And then hug it in. And again, 1 more time, we're going to see if we can get that leg all the way straight. Now, this time you're going to let go of it, and we're going to point at the toe, or you can keep the foot flexed. It's, depending on the comfort level of your ankle joint. So then you're going to snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you quite firmly and press the upper arms down into the ground. You're going to hug in through the sides of the waist, and you're going to anchor the opposite leg. So in this case, I've got my right leg in the air and my left leg on the floor, so I'm anchoring the left leg down. We're going to take the leg across the body and then sweep a circle out. And what I'm hoping is that all of the muscles of my upper body and my leg are holding me steady, so that this leg making a big circle is not making my body rock around on the floor. So I'm trying to hold my torso stable, and the leg is trying to prevent me from doing that. 1 more time. When you get to the top, you're going to take your leg out to the side. So really anchoring that left hip to the ground. Bring it back up through the center, out to the side, up through the center, out through the side, and 1 more time. Oh. Now give that leg in a hug, and we're going to lift the shoulders up off the mat, and we're going to hover the left leg a bit. So this is the single straight leg stretch. And so I'm going to curl in, and then inhale and switch legs. Curl in, switch legs. You can put your hands behind your head so that you can prevent yourself from trying to do this move with your neck muscles. So 1 leg extends, 1 leg comes in, and I'm trying to curl up towards that leg. It's not a twist. Straight up the center. 2 more. Now, hold on to your left leg. Put your head back down. Stretch out and relax that right leg. And then hugging that left leg in. Spin your foot in circles. Oh. If you need a little release for your right leg, you can do that as well. And then spin the foot the other way after a bit. And so in those 2 moves, and then point and flex your foot, this circles with the legs move, we're using the abdominals as stabilizers, which is their primary role in the body. They're intended by nature to, if that's the right word, by human genetics at least, to keep our torso, our pelvis, and our shoulders stable with each other, right? So that we can move around on these 2 levers of our legs with relative stability. So that's what this move is. So we're hugging that leg in. We're going to extend the heel and just Give the hamstrings some love. Be kind, y'all. Press the heel away. Oh, bring it in. And then it's possible that you can keep the thigh right where it is and extend that leg all the way, but you might not. My thigh moves away from me for sure. Okay, so you're going to let go of the leg. That's going to stay straight up. And then I'm going to work the shoulder blades underneath me again. Press the upper arms down, hug in through the sides of the waist, anchor the right leg to the floor. Okay, so all that action is happening. Then I come across and draw a circle that doesn't knock over any plants or furniture items. So you're going to make a circle within a range of motion, holding steady through this whole rest of your body. So the body is acting as stabilizing, the abdominals are acting as stabilizers. Now when you come up to the center, we're going to go out to the side, swing it around, come up the center again. Out to the side, all the way down and up the middle. Again, working with whatever space requirements you've got. Space inhibitions might be the better word. Okay, so when you get to the top, we're going to bring that knee in, give it a little hug. Oh. You're going to bring your other knee in. Okay, so again, the last move we did, we were both stabilizing and adding this little extra bit of spinal flexion that comes from the rectus abdominis. Now with this move, it's all stabilization. So you can keep the knees balanced here and pump the arms for the 100, or you can take the legs out straighter. So out straighter is a longer lever. You want to make sure that your low back is going to be okay with that notion. So hugging in, we're going to pump the arms and try to hold stable here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, halfway there, 60, 70, we're almost there, 80, 90, and 100. All right. So yogis, woo, give yourself a little movement. I like that one, it's fun. I forget about it often. Okay, so we're gonna give ourselves a really big stretch. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, so we're going to do a twisting motion and we're going to do a leg lowering motion. I am inclined to do the leg lowering first because I like the twisting at the end. We've already done a little bit of twisting action. So with the leg lowering, you can put your hands behind your head. You can curl the shoulder blades up and then you press the head back into the hands so that your neck is stable and you're not pulling the chin towards the chest. So we're trying to maintain a little bit of space right there. If it's preferable, you can leave your head on the floor. You're going to take your hands and either place them right down beside you, again, drawing the shoulder blade underneath so that you can press the upper arms down nice and firm, and then you'll curl to some degree. You're going to leave a little curve in your low back, but you're going to curl all the muscles in here to help stabilize you, right? So you're not trying to flatten your low back curve, but you're trying to provide a lot of stabilization for it. Or you can put your hands gently underneath your hips and provide just a little extra support there. So for me, because my elbow likes to bend, that one works really nice. And I've got longer legs and a little less torso, so that also works. Okay, so now I'm going to glue the heels together and I'm going to engage through the side waist of my abdominals, right? It's like I'm putting on a really tight corset. So hug in nice and tight. Glue the legs together. You can point the toes or flex your feet. We're going to lower the legs down for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold steady and really draw in. 3, 2, 1, and then come on back to the top. Now, if you can go lower, that's fine, but don't let your low back arch off the ground. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Neutral in the spine, hugging in. 3, 2, 1. Come on back. Lower down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on back. All right, reach through your toes. Here we go. Lower down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold steady. 3, 2, 1. Come on back. Whew, I love this one. We're going to do it one more time. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, oh, that's so much fun. All right, give yourself a little back massage or shake out your legs. You can shake out your arms too while you're at it. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's nice. Okay, yogis. One more thing we're going to do here on our back, and that is we're going to do these little twists. Now, here's the secret to these little twists. Is I'm going to it's like the single straight leg stretch. One leg's going to come in, one leg's going to be up, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm curling up 1, 2, 3 as far as I can curl, and then coming back to the center, curling up 1, 2, 3. And as I'm doing that, I can bring my knee in closer as well. So we're creating a little bit more work, a little bit more work, a little bit more work with the obliques each time, okay? So with the right leg in, the left leg extended, 1, 2, 3. Come back to the middle, both knees in. Extend the right leg. 1, 2, 3. Back to the middle. 1, 2, 3. Back to the center. 1, 2, 3. Back to the center. Push your head into your hands. 2, 3. Back to the center. 1, 2, 3. Back to the center. 1, 2, 3. Back. Other side. 2, 3. Come back one more time. 1, 2, 3. Now hold that steady and stretch into those legs. Coming back to the center. Other side. 1, 2, 3. Now hold that center. Stretch and come back to the middle. Okay. Oh, that felt good. Windshield vibe for your legs a little bit. Oh, I like how warm and toasty my abdominal region is after a bunch of that kind of work. All right, yogis, so we're going to bring ourselves up to a kneeling position. And if you have a tender or sensitive back, you can just bring yourself up. If rolling like a ball is fun for you, then you can bring yourself into a ball shape, and the rounder your back, the better, and you can rock yourself up. Now, the first one for me is always the one where it takes a second for me to get that shape. So then rock back and rock up and catch the balance. Rock back, rock up, catch the balance. Rock back, rock up, draw the abs in, catch the balance. Rock back, rock up. Good. So you want to do 2 or 3 more of those? Go for it. I'm not going to stop you. And if you're good, we're going to come up to all fours. Oh, I like rolling like a ball. It feels good after the first one. All right, so now we're up to all fours. And you can turn your hands in different positions to change the way the wrists are experiencing these next couple of shapes, right? You can press the tops of the feet into the floor or tuck the toes under and press back through the heels. And so I'm going to choose an option. So tops of the feet press down, fingertips forward for these first 2. And then we're going to move the back through these flexion and extension shapes. And you can do a little like side to side. That feels good. So then I'm going to tuck my toes and turn my hands out and do 2 more. So then I'm going to let myself take one hand all the way around so that I get a good stretch, and I'm going to round through my lower back and pull backwards. And then I'm going to change that and do the opposite hand, right? So I'm pulling back and rounding through my lower back. Oh, and then rinsing out that wrist. All right, so we're going to add a little twist here. So we're going to take whichever, you can start with your right arm or your left arm. We're going to thread that underneath the opposite arm, get your shoulder to the mat. Now you can let your hips kind of balance over the top of the knees, or they can come backward towards the heels a bit, just whatever's more comfortable. This top arm can wrap over your back, or you can use it as kind of a lever or a balance on the floor. So with my shoulder kind of resting on the ground, I'm going to gently pull backwards so that I feel that stretch through my upper back a little bit more. Now, what I could do, because this is my right hand, is I could take my left leg, tuck the toes, and then extend that leg to push me more onto that shoulder. That may or may not be a good idea, but you can certainly try it and see what happens. Keep your neck, your head relatively weight-free. And then we're going to bring that knee back to the ground and let ourselves come out of that shape. Now, once you're out, create some stability and then rinse that arm out. Oh. And then we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to wait just a moment, maybe do a couple little moves. When it feels like your spine is ready, you'll take the opposite arm under, rest the shoulder on the floor, and again, explore should my hips go up more or back more. Should I wrap my arm over my back? Doing the kind of different possible shapes. You can move the hips a little bit. That leg could be extended out. You can gently pull backward through the shoulder. Last breath here. And then if your knee is lifted, bring it back down. You're going to use your hand to scoop yourself out. And once you're here, rinse out that arm. All right, so we're going to come onto the belly and do some cobra. So before I get there, I'm going to retame this craziness. Now we're going to do cobras with the back muscles rather than with the arms. So I could do just like a sloppy push-up and get the cobra, but that's not what we're after. We're trying to warm up the spinal extensor muscles. So we're going to start with the hands positioned about level with the chest muscles. Spread the fingers out so you've got a nice big starfishy kind of shape with your leg or with your hands. Then you're going to stretch the legs back one at a time. I tuck the toe under and just stretch back through the front of my hip, or you can lift the leg and stretch back through the front of the hip. And then press the front of the hips and the tops of the thighs and the tops of the feet into the floor. And then use your back muscles and lift yourself so that you can do that with mostly the back muscles, right? So we're strengthening our spinal extensors, lengthening through our belly. Now take the elbows, draw them in, and pull the shoulders open a little bit. So you're kind of drawing the elbows back and in. And then come on back down. So we're going to do that 4 more times. Inhaling, lifting into the cobra. Anchor the legs. Imagine that your glute is drawing down at a diagonal towards the outer edge. And then coming back down. Try not to gather tension in your neck if you can help it. Anchor through the legs. Use your back muscles. The head's along for the ride. Draw back through the elbows. Good. We got 2 more to go. Come on down. Rinse it out a little. And then anchoring through the legs, lift. And again, we're really trying to use our back muscles to work that out. Come on back down. Last one here. Anchor through the legs. Draw the glutes out to the corners. Lift yourself off the floor as high as you can. And then anchor with the arms, right? So you're going to hold steady. We're going to drop the chin. And then we're just going to let the head move around a little bit. Hold with those back muscles. Hang on. 1 more breath. And then we're going to come on back down. You can put your hands underneath your forehead or just rest your forehead on the floor. And windshield wiper your legs back and forth a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me when I talk into the floor. Alrighty, yogis. Now, some of you are going to want to maintain an all-fours position, and that's fine. Or you can come up and go into downward facing dog. Now, hands shoulder distance apart. Nice spread out fingers. Take your hips back. And this might be the first downward dog you've done today. And so you can move the shoulders around a little bit. Hug the arms towards the head a little. And then walk your feet up and down. Oh, that feels nice. Press the hips back. Give it a little wiggle. And then we're going to take the right leg up. Now I've got a three-legged dog, so I'm going to reach through that leg and bring the knee in and hug in and round the back. Stretch that leg back out. Bring it in, hug. One more time, bring that leg out, and then I'm going to step that foot forward. Now if you can step straight through the middle, great. If you have trouble with that, step out to the diagonal and then bring your foot in so that now it's in place, okay? So we're going to swing the left heel around. We're coming up to warrior two. So, with or without a flourish. Now, you want to just double check that your hips are not feeling uncomfortable. There should not be any pain in the hip sockets themselves. And then we're going to try this mermaid. So we're going to come back and over, and we'll do 3 of these. Come back and over. Good, come back. And then holding steady right here, we're going to stretch that leg out straight. And then we're going to come over into triangle. Now you can certainly stick your arm out. More important is what you do with this hip. Should it go back or should it stay forward? For me, it's always back. Okay, so then I get that length in my spine and I don't need my arm to help me because I've aligned my hips so that my spine has room to expand. If I try to tuck myself under, my spine is always going to get a little bit of a rainbow shape to it. There's nothing wrong with rainbows. Just choose the shape that's right for you. I like as much length as possible. So we're going to take 2 more breaths here. You might be holding onto your shin. You might be floating your arm. You might be holding a block. We got 1 more big breath. Good. So we're going to bend this knee, put both hands on the floor, step back into down dog. Okay. So holding steady for just a moment, just feel the right side and the left. Then we're going to come forward into a plank. Hold that plank for 4, 3, 2, lift those thigh bones, and then we're going to come down. Now you can modify your plank if you like. Lower down halfway or all the way to the ground. Come into a back bend. For me, this is a cobra. You might want an up dog. And then we're going to push ourselves back up through the plank and into down dog. Okay. So once you're here, that left leg is going to lift, sink a bit into your right heel. Then bring that knee in, round your back again. Stretch it back. Hug it in. Stretch it back, sink into that heel, and then step your foot forward again, either to the diagonal or straight forward, and then allow yourself to come into your warrior two. Adjust your hips accordingly, and then find that shape. We're going to come back to reverse warrior and over to the side angle. And we're doing this with the core, not resting too heavy on the limbs. 1 more time, coming back and forward. And then come back and straighten out your leg. And then we're going to come into our triangle. And again, if I keep my pelvis tucked under, I'm going to run into this shape. If I let my hip go back, then I'm working with the actual shape of my bones, and I can lengthen out and get a little bit more hamstring stretch. So it's really just up to you, but there's no one way to do triangle. Try to do it so that whatever you're holding on to is there for structure, but you're not leaning into it. You're using the abdominals to help you stabilize. We're taking 2 more breaths. All right, so we're going to bend that knee. We're going to put both hands on the floor, step back into down dog. Take a moment. Feel that shape. And then we're going to come forward into a plank. Hold it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Come all the way to the belly this time. Okay. So, we're going to do some work with locust. Now, you can have your arms straight back. You can have the arms laced together behind your back. Or you can do what I'm going to do, which is kind of a hybrid of the cobra. But instead of having my hands up here where the chest is, I'm going to bring them all the way down here where my waist is. Now the bottom part of my hand's not going to touch the floor right now. That's not a problem because it's going to change in a minute. So I'm going to keep my fingertips on the ground. I'm going to lift my chest, and that allows me to anchor down through my palms, drawing the elbows back and reaching back through the legs. Lift as high as you can. Now notice if I try to jerk my head back, there's no help. It does not help me, right? So keep the neck with the spine. and then come on back down. We're going to do it twice more. Lift up. Good. Lengthen. Lift as best you can through your torso. Pull the elbows back, and then come on back down. Now, some people will be more comfortable trying to lift the legs higher, and that's fine too. Last one here. Lift. Reach through your legs. Reach through your elbows or your hands, and then come on back down. Okay, so I put my hands back up here for the plank. Push back up. Oh, take it back to dog. Oh. And then pause for a moment. Oh, shake out your head. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, so you might be at all fours. That's fine too. So right leg comes up. We're going to bring that knee in, round the back. Maybe you can touch your forehead and your knee together. Stretch it up, sink into the heel. Bring it in. Stretch it up, sink into the heel. Spread out the toes. Maybe tilt that hip up. And then we're going to step forward. And we're going to take ourselves into Warrior One. Now, the difference between Warrior One and Warrior Two is that I want my hips to aim more forward with Warrior One while still putting that heel on the ground. So I'm going to anchor more like a lunge. Now the difference is with a lunge, because I'm on my toes, I can bring my hip all the way around. With Warrior One, that hip is still going to be on a diagonal, just maybe a little bit tighter diagonal than the Warrior Two, okay? So holding steady here, pressing the feet into the floor, using the leg muscles to help stabilize. We're going to bring the arms up, bring them back, squeeze them together, and push forward. Arms up, bring them back, squeeze them together, push forward, arms up, bring them back, and push forward. Now, we're going to go slightly to the diagonal here. So we're lining up with the pelvis and the torso. And then we're going to stretch forward and fold into the space. Now reach out through your arms, let your head hang. Keep this front knee bent, press back through your back foot. And if it seems okay, you can wrap your arms around behind your back and either lace the fingers together or do a bit of a reverse prayer. Hold steady through the legs and let your neck relax. If it's dizzy, come up a little bit. 2 more breaths here in Bowing Warrior. Ooh, last one. Release your arms. Now we're going to take a balance pose. So you can wiggle your back foot in until you feel the weight shift over your front leg and then lift that back leg up. Or you can go right into a jump if you want to. Now there might be furniture and other reasons that you're going to hold steady here. Using whatever furniture is around you for stability. But we're going to work this course. You're going to use this outer hip to lift yourself up. Really lift through that outer hip. Draw in through the sides of your waist. Be kind to your plants and animals. Take 1 more breath. And then we're going to put both hands on the floor and step back into down dog. Okay. So feeling the difference between the sides. Now if you'd like, you can hold this down dog. If you want to do a little more, you can come forward into plank, lower down, do your back bend, and then come back to down dog. So we're going to take this left leg up. Nice big extension, hug in. Ha. Reach it back, sink into the heel. Bring it in. Ha. Reach it back one more time, sink into that heel. Oh. And then we're going to step that foot forward. And again, I'm going to bring myself into the Warrior One so that I can stay as forward moving as I can, but still honor the fact that my hips are going where they're going, okay? Arms come up, back, push forward. Arms come up, back, push forward. Arms up, back, forward. And again, now I'm going to turn to the diagonal, fold straight down that diagonal, reach out through the arms, press the feet into the ground, lift with your inner thighs, and hang out with this Bowing Warrior, or you can wrap the arms around into the bind. Oh, yogis. 2 more breaths here. I'm actively lifting this leg, right? So I'm not collapsing into that inner thigh. And then we're going to take the arms and release them out. and take this into our balancing pose. So again, I might be able to go right in, or I might need a couple of extra little wiggles. We're going to extend this leg, maybe extending the arm, holding steady. Now lift through the hip. Use these outer hip muscles to lift you, ab muscles to stabilize you, and hands to catch, legs to catch before you fall into your credenza. So taking some deep breaths, one more. And then put both hands down, and we're going to step back into down dog. Oh, now yogis, we're going to come forward into plank. Hold that plank for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down, all the way to the belly. And then pause for a moment and give yourself some little windshield wipers. We're going to try to loosen up the front of the hip just a little bit. It's also a great time to get a little drink of water in the event that you've been sweating into your own open nostrils. Okay. So we're going to take the arms and bring them around the back. Turn your head so that one cheek rests on the floor. Now you can put your arms one palm on top of the other, or you can rest the palms beside you, okay? Either one, just depends on the tightness of your shoulders. Now, I'm going to let my shoulders roll forward while I'm hanging out here, and then I'm going to pick them up and lift them back when I do the lifted portion of this. If your neck feels like this is quite a lot to do, you could put a folded towel or even a block underneath your head so you have a little bit of a pillow. So we're going to bring the heels in, 1, 2, 3, extend the legs, bring the head around, reach through the arms. Maybe they're together, maybe not. Come down, head the other direction, heels against the buttocks, 1, 2, 3, reach out, lift. Everything is lengthening. Come on down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. Coming down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. Coming down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. Coming down. We got one more. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And coming on down. Now we're going to take ourselves into like a pigeon. So you can take yourself back into all fours or downward dog and bring one leg forward, or you can follow me. So we're going to roll onto the back. And I'm going to do my left leg first. So I'm going to bring the left leg up and I'm going to hug it in. Now, what I have done here is I have externally rotated my thigh bone so that the shin bone comes at an angle across me, okay? I'm going to hold on to my leg, hand on the thigh, hand on the foot. If this torques your knee, don't hold the lower leg, okay? Stay with the thigh, because this can be tricky if you're trying to pull your foot closer than your external rotation is allowing you to go. So then I'm going to take this opposite leg and stretch out through it and rest it on the floor, okay? So again, the knee joint is the most important thing. Flexing the foot here is very helpful. And so we're looking for this stretch that kind of hangs out around the buttock, the glute. If you want the other shape where you're same shape with the legs, just turn it 180 degrees upside down, then you'll be in the more traditional version of the pigeon. So hold and steady here for about 5 more breaths. What I like about the upside down version is I can do this little rock the baby back and forth and sort of lubricate the hip joint and then draw the whole thing. And I'm using the thigh as my lever, not my lower leg. That's just me having a handle. Kind of draw that thigh in a little tighter. With this external rotation, what I'm doing is I'm stretching the muscles that are responsible for that external rotation, some of which live awfully close to the sciatic nerve. And then, so for some of us, this is actually going to be way better because it's not as intense and not as aggravating to sciatic pain. But still gives us the length we're looking for. So we're going to take another 2 breaths. I'm reaching out through this leg that's on the ground. And then we're going to release this leg. Now, those of you that are doing the regular pigeon, you're going to kind of roll onto the bent leg hip side, or the other leg side, whichever way is the easiest to roll. Usually for me, it's the bent leg one. And then we're going to stay on the side, right? So you're going to roll onto your side. Now, I use my head as a pillow because I don't like this position with the neck. Even if you're lifting, which is what you're supposed to be doing, there's a lot of opportunity for strain in the neck here. So I prefer the head like this. However, if for you it's better to do it the other way, then by all means do it the other way. I'm gonna one more time oh no, I think you're all right. Okay, trying to make sure you could see me. Okay, so this top leg is gonna be the moving leg. Before I do anything, I wanna make sure my hips are over my hips, my shoulders are over my shoulders, and then I'm drawing in through the abdominals so that, again, we're creating that corset shape. This is the transverse abdominis that we're talking about engaging, okay? Then I'm gonna turn my toes out. Now, if I bend my bottom knee, that's gonna create a little more stability. If I line my legs up, but keep them on the ground, a little bit more challenging. If I elevate the legs off the floor, now I'm gonna be very challenged to keep my torso stable. So choose the right amount of support for you. The top leg is going up with a pointed toe. It's a little externally rotated. We're gonna flex that foot and come on down. So we're gonna do that. Pointed toe coming up, flexed foot coming down. Again, all of this, we're hugging in nice and snug. Coming up and down. Up and down. 3 more. 2 more. Last one. Okay, so that was my external rotation, okay, which kicks on some of the muscles that live in here. Now I'm going to internally rotate. So I'm going to kick this little muscle on and lengthen these. To do this, I'm going to extend my bottom leg as straight as I can make it, press it into the floor, and then I'm going to kick this leg over the top and touch down, and over the back and touch down. And I'm going to try to keep the internal rotation, so I may not make it all the way to the floor. That's okay. Come forward, backward, forward, backward. Hug in through the sides of the waist to keep yourself as steady as possible. Back, forward. Try to maintain that internal rotation so that we're working a different set of muscles all in this outer hip. There's so much complexity to our hip joint. We want to get them all. Okay, one more time. Forward, backward. Okay, bring the feet together. This is my favorite one. Kind of combines all of these actions in one move. So first, just relax the outer hip for a moment. Legs are bent, feet are touching, knees are touching. Then we're going to lift the feet up and leave the knees touching. And this hip we're going to stabilize by, again, drawing in through the sides of the waist. And I like to keep my hand here because it just reminds me to keep hugging in, okay? You might want your hand up front for more stability or up by your ear for less, okay? So that you're having to work harder. Knees go open, leg extends. Feel this gluteus medius muscle right up here on the top of your hip kick on. That's what we're working on. Bring it back, close it up. Now we're working this little guy in here, okay? Open, extend, together, and close. Open, extend the leg, bring the toes together, close it up. 5 more. Ooh, try to feel that outer hip, really working hard. Ooh, it's good. So we've got this external rotation and then the internal rotation, right? So we're really working all these muscles that live in our hip. I don't know if that was 5. We're going to do one more. Sometimes I lose count. I just keep going. So extend your legs. This top leg comes out and you can put the foot on the ground like that. For me, I like the way that stretch feels. Or you can extend the leg all the way out straight, either way. You can put your hand here to kind of press the legs together. Then we're going to extend this bottom leg and reaching out through the whole leg. We're going to lift the thigh up off the ground, okay? Now the thigh is lifting, and so I'm going to do a small pulsation, just a little bit more of a lift up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now hold that for a moment and deepen the connection through the inner belly. See if you can lift that leg just from that inner belly connection. Hold and steady now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it on down. Good. So now rolling back onto the back if you're going to do the pigeon, or rolling onto your belly and going back to down dog. Giving yourself a little rinse before we do the other side. Oh, it's good to feel. Like, does one side feel different than the other? And then you'll step your opposite leg forward, or in the case of those of you that followed me on the back, you're going to bring that opposite leg up. Now, one leg may have more external rotation than the other, so again, be careful of using your lower leg bone as a lever, right? Because the knee is always the place that's going to pay for that. And so we want to do all the action from the thigh and then draw the thigh in. Flexing at the foot helps stabilize the knee. Extend out through the leg that's on the bottom. And you can do these little rock the babies, as the case may be. All right, hold steady. And if one side's tighter than the other, you're going to notice a difference between your two sides. Sometimes, like, we have dominant hand. I have right-handed. You might be left-handed. So you have a hand that's dominant. You can also have a leg or a hip that's dominant. We might step out more. My personal opinion is that my right hip is different because of years of driving an automatic transmission car where the only leg that had to move is the right one. It's one of the things that, that leg has had to do, the other leg has never had to do. I might be wrong, but I feel like that might be the truth. So we're going to stay for about 5 more breaths here. Either holding steady on the floor, maybe grabbing your back foot if that feels good, or in your case of if you're following me, just reach out through that leg. Let this front part of the hip right here extend out. Again, choosing appropriately because of the sensation level that you're experiencing. Ooh, we got one more big breath. And then you're going to let that leg go. Give it a little movement on the way out to straight. And if you're doing the pigeon on your belly, then you're going to roll over onto that other hip. All right. I'm going to spin around 180 degrees. You guys can do whichever is appropriate. If you need to keep your eyes on the screen, you might want to follow me into that. If you have done this a million times and you know exactly what we're going to do, you don't need to see the screen, that's also fine. Okay, so finding some room for yourself amongst all of the goods in your house. We're going to, again, stabilize here by drawing in through the abs. We're going to turn the toes so that the heels are together and the toes are a little more open. Okay. And then we're going to take this top leg up, pointy, and flex the foot and come down. Okay? Trying to maintain the stability in the torso, point and flex down, point and lift up, flex and come down. So we got 4 more to go. Hold steady through the torso. Two more. Last one. All right, so then we're going to internally rotate. So we're going to turn this top thigh down. I'm going to bend my bottom knee just a little bit to create a little more stability because I'm rotating that leg in. Then I'm going to go forward, touch, back, and touch. And again, the most important part is that I maintain the internal rotation, not that I touch with my foot, okay? So forward and backward, forward and backward, forward and backward. We're really working this little inner rotation here. Most of us don't have a lot of movement in that direction. We're just going to work what we got. Forward and backward. 2 more. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Keep that internal rotation. Come back to the center. Okay. So straighten out both legs. Just feel. We're going to bend the knees. Okay. Lift the feet. So the knees are resting and I've got that internal rotation of the thigh. Then I'm going to turn it open. That's my external rotation. Extend the leg if it's appropriate. If for some reason you got knee pain, don't extend the leg. Just hover it. Extend, come back, bring it together. Extend, come back, bring it together. Good. So we're opening, extending, coming together twice. First toes, then knees. Right? Just keep on going. We got 4 more. 3 more. And then again, you're feeling this hip. Maybe one side's a little weaker than the other side, and you can feel the difference. That might be the last one, but we'll do 1 more. Good, and then let your legs straighten out a bit. We're going to take this top leg over, and maybe put the foot on the ground, maybe let the leg rest. And then we're going to reach through that bottom leg, okay? Press a little bit into your hip if you like, so you have a little bit of stability here. Lift that bottom leg up, so that's the height that I can get just all by myself, right? Just with the inner thigh. And then I'm going to really recruit through this deep inner belly for pulsation. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to hold it now. Lift. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg down. You can roll onto your back. Oh, we're going to rinse out both legs. Oh, I'm going to move down my mat a little bit. Ooh. Now, yogis, if you've got your essential oils, get them out. Take some essential oils, give your neck a little lengthening, put that back on the floor. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Let your arms rest out. Keep the little windshield wipers going with your legs for a second longer if you like. And then you might decide you're going to put your feet together, drop your knees open, or you might extend one leg out, rest that one, extend the other leg out. Wherever you got room to extend it. Rest that one. Oh. You got a pillow, you can put that under your legs, do that. Oh. And then let yourself relax completely. So it might take just a moment of sort of stretching, and then release. So this seems like it's not that important, but it is actually the most important pose, because it's the pose where our nervous system actually integrates some of the work that we just did. So we've done all of this conscious movement, focused, intentional, concentrated movement, and now we're going to let the part of our nervous system that is responsible for our ability to completely relax and rest take over. Right? So you're going to soften all the muscles in your face. Especially notice, like, do you tend to hold tension right between your eyebrows? Consciously let that relax, and let the area all around the temples relax, and the cheekbones. And imagine that the orb of your eye gets a little heavier and rests a little deeper into your head. Now pay attention to the muscles of your mouth and relax the lips. Let the cheeks, like, the tone of the cheeks and the tone of the jaw all soften a bit. Let the collarbones fall a little farther away from the jaw. And maybe you have to change the bend at the elbow to really let the shoulders relax, but try to let the shoulders and the arms fall into the floor a little deeper. Go back and soften the mouth again and the eyes. And then as deeply as you can, relax the legs. And let the whole body stay relaxed for just a wee bit longer. Just feel the body breathing. Yogis, take a breath so deep you can feel it all the way to your toes. Let go with a big sigh. And you're going to extend extend out your fingers and toes so they spread away from each other. And then give them a wiggle. And extend the fingers and toes and give them a wiggle. And extend them out one more time. Oh, and then you're going to move the wrist and ankles. Oh. Extend out through your arms and legs. Maybe do a little banana to the right and a little banana to the left. Oh, and then we're going to bring the knees into the chest. Oh, this is my favorite part. You're going to give yourself a little back massage right there on the back of your sacrum. Oh. Give your favorite yogi a hug. And then you can roll to your side, or if you prefer to rock yourself up, that'll work too. And then you can come to a seated position. We're going to take a nice big breath together, yogis, before you go off and do all your things. Nice big inhale. Big deep sigh. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.